Okay, what we have here is a 4-mark exam question on rearranging, in this case, to make x the subject. I've chosen this example because the x appears more than once. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to do it correctly, and then we'll talk about the misconceptions. So the first step would be, and by making x the subject, we want to make it x equals. So I'm going to multiply both sides of the equation by x minus 5. So I'm going to get y x minus 5 equals 4 minus 3x. Then I'm going to multiply out the brackets. Now, at this stage, to do the question correctly, what I need to do is to get both x terms isolated on the same side of the equal sign. So it makes sense, because this is minus 3x, to add it to both sides. So if I do that, now at this stage, I'm also going to add 5y to both sides as well. Just saves me a line of working out. Okay, so now what I can do is I can factorize, bring out x as a common factor on the left-hand side. So I would now have x and then y plus 3 in brackets. So that's the magical stage, where you go from seeing x in two separate terms to having it isolated as a common factor. And then for the final step, I would then just divide both sides by y plus 3. Okay, so that's the correct way to do the question. So what I'm going to show you now are some of the misconceptions that I've seen in the past. If you don't mind, I'm going to jump in at this stage here. So if I just bring that across. So imagine I've started this question off correctly. Now, what I've seen students do in the past is they think, great, I'm making x the subject, I just need it to be x equals. So they add the 5y to both sides. Okay, and then divide through by y to make it x equals. There we go. Okay, so we can see the obvious problem here is that we still have an x term, a minus 3x term on the right-hand side. So we haven't strictly made x the subject. So remember not to fall into that trap. You have to account for both x terms, get them isolated on one side of the equal sign so that you can then factorize. Okay, I'm also going to take this opportunity to just come back to the correct answer, because it might be that the person next to you at this stage again has done something slightly different to you, and I want to show you that whether it's your answer or your partner's answer, you may both have the correct answer. So if I come back to this line again, so jumping in part way through. Okay, so at this stage, to me, the obvious thing would be to add 3x to both sides, because this is a negative term, so it reappears as a positive here. But let's imagine your partner decided that they were going to subtract xy from both sides. Okay, now this is less likely, isn't it? Because our instinct tells us we don't want to introduce unnecessary negatives, but it does happen. So if I then have minus xy on that side, and then I'm going to subtract 4 from both sides as well. So I've got minus 5y minus 4 equals minus 3x minus xy. I'm going to do a similar thing to what I did up here. I've isolated both x terms so I can bring x out as a common factor. So minus 5y minus 4 equals x, and then I'll have minus 3 minus y. And then I can divide both sides by minus 3 minus y. When we do the subject, we tend to have the subject on the left-hand side. So I've just switched that around. So we've got minus 5y minus 4, and then minus 3 minus y. Both of these are correct, but obviously they look a little bit different. Okay. If I look at all my negatives here, and if I bring minus 1 out as a common factor, let's imagine I'm factorizing for the moment, then this becomes minus 1 and then 5y plus 4. And then in the denominator, if I do a similar thing, then it becomes 3 plus y. Okay, so what I can do is I can cancel my minus 1s as I can just cancel those out, and you can see what I've got here is actually the same as what I had up here, which proves that actually they're the same answer. Okay, thank you very much for listening.